Allow your breath to slow and let the world around you momentarily recede. We will now journey together into that domain of your inner world that is at once intimately familiar and profoundly bewildering. This is Psyche Unlocked, the space dedicated to deciphering the blueprint of your soul. Introduction. Why do you stand at a summit of your own making, only to feel a void? Have you ever arrived at a moment where, by all external measures, you have done everything right? You followed every rule and climbed the mountain that society defined as success, securing the enviable job, the polished title, yet, as it slides down your throat, it offers only the burning sensation of liquid ash, a profound hollowness. It is a far more profound psychological phenomenon, collapse of meaning. And it is precisely this spiritual reef that the great pioneer of psychology, Carl Jung, foresaw long ago. Jung called this the persona. This mask is not inherently negative. It is a necessary tool for navigating the grand stage of the world, helping you to fit in, to succeed, and to form relationships. To maintain the polished facade of this persona, you were forced to banish every part of yourself that did not fit its pristine imager vulnerability. Your irrationality, your anger, your laziness, and your unrealistic dreams into the deep, dark cellars of your unconscious. These exiled parts, Jung named the shadow. The reason you feel shattered is not because you are weak, but because your inner ecosystem has been pushed into a state of severe imbalance. Your soul, that larger, more authentic self, is initiating a forced shutdown of the old, overtaxed system through this very burnout. It is telling you, in the only language you can no longer ignore, that this path has reached its definitive end. It might be the efficient manager, the creative artist, or the dependable partner. But the staggering, energetic toll of suppressing your shadow day after day, year after year, this complex, like a tyrannical general, has hijacked your entire psychic system, convincing you that your sole value lies in continual victory and external applause. Your inner world has become a perpetual battlefield where your conscious ego fights desperately to maintain the persona's gleaming front, while your shadow relentlessly batters the gates from behind, crying out to be seen and integrated. Having pushed the pursuit of the external to its absolute limit, your entire life force is now swinging in a seemingly destructive arc toward its polar opposite, internal exploration and integration. The void you feel is not a sign of your emptiness, but a sign that your soul is clearing space for what it truly desires. It has forced you to stop, to withdraw your energy from the external noise. Acknowledge it. Hate it. Thank it for everything it has won for you, and for the ways it has protected you. Recognize its achievements, and also its limitations. Then, with reverence, release it from its duty, saying, "Your mission is complete. You may now rest." This is not an act of annihilation, but of shifting it from the role of master back to its rightful place as a Tula conscious. Vital first step in disidentifying from your old self, and to turn inward to finally meet the parts of you that have been so long forgotten and betrayed. What you perceive as an ending is, in fact, the true beginning of your individuation journey, the process of becoming who you were always meant to be in your wholeness. He understood that when a life becomes entirely driven by the external, the inner world will inevitably stage a silent but total revolution. Buried within your shadow lies your lost vitality, your creativity, and your life force. Your body sinks into the expensive Italian sofa, yet finds no rest. The very suit that was meant to be your armor of confidence now feels like a borrowed, ill-fitting shell, constricting your every breath. Do these same qualities exist in me in ways I have refused to see? Now practice asking new questions and learn to wait in the stillness for the answers. The only sound is the constant low hum of the central air, a ceaseless mantra of nothingness. Where do I feel tension? But as a subtle intuition, a physical sensation, a symbol in a dream, or a quiet resonance that simply feels true, where do I crave release? For you, right now, the most productive work imaginable is inner integration. Rest becomes the gathering of energy. Feeling your emotions becomes the processing of vital information. Staring aimlessly out a window becomes the incubation of new insight. Practice seeing this healing as your primary project. Your task is not to do, but to become the person who is integrating, who is becoming whole by honoring the various archetypes within, such as the inner child who needs to play, or the old sage who requires wisdom and tranquility. The answer lies not in getting better faster or finding a new goal, but in learning an entirely new way of being with yourself. This is not a to-do list, but for keys to unlock your own inner wisdom. You are not lost. You are in the process of returning to a self that is vaster, more authentic, and more alive than you ever imagined. It requires the courage to face the ruins, the patience to endure the void, and the trust to follow a faint inner light. But it is this path that ultimately leads to an unshakable inner peace and sense of meaning that no external circumstance can ever take away. Your ambition will not disappear. It will be transformed from a need to prove to a desire to express. You possess everything you were ever told to desire, yet your soul within this gilded cage of your own construction lets out the heaviest and most silent of sighs. Does this leave you feeling not just confused, but betrayed? As if you followed the map meticulously only to discover the treasure chest was empty, winning the world, but losing yourself in the process. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city sprawls like a silent nebula where every light was once a star. You yearn to pluck from the firmament, but which now resolves into a cold impersonal grid of pixels, casting your lonely reflection upon the dark glass. And the stable income that made you a paragon in the eyes of friends and a source of pride for your family. Why then, in the profound quiet of the night, when all masks are finally set aside, is the feeling not one of fulfillment, but of a deep and cavernous emptiness? Let us step together into that scene, a scene that is intimately yours. It is just past midnight, and you are seated in the magnificent apartment, perched at the city's apex, that was once lauded in design magazines. Your fingertips unconsciously trace the condensation on a chilled glass, where the fine vintage whiskey glows amber in the dim light, carrying the scent of peat and success. This extreme exhaustion you feel, this burnout that permeates the very core of your being, is not a simple depletion of energy. The deep dive, the death of the persona, and the awakening of the shadow throughout your life's journey in your quest for social acceptance. Admiration and recognition, you have meticulously crafted an identity. You poured immense energy into perfecting this persona, learning its language and mastering its expressions, until at some point you began to believe that you were the mask. But this came at a tremendous hidden cost. The profound malaise you feel, that literal sensation of being heavy, suffocated, and utterly depleted, is not merely the consequence of overwork. This protracted inner schism has formed a powerful, complex, and energetic vortex organized around the themes of achievement and validation. And now that general has led you into a barren wasteland. The golden insight, collapse as sacred recalibration. Now listen closely, seeker, for this is the critical turning point, the key that unlocks your present predicament. What you are experiencing is not a shameful failure, but a sacred recalibration. Jung described this inevitable process with a deeply resonant term, enantiodromia, the principle that anything which is pushed to its extreme will invariably swing toward its opposite. Therefore, let me be direct. The collapse you are experiencing is not the demolition of the structure, but the sacred revelation of its foundation. This burnout, this field of ruins, is a severe yet merciful gift from yourself. Actionable inner tools. 4 keys to rebuilding from the ruins. So, how does one navigate this sacred ruin? Key 1. Conduct a farewell ceremony with your persona. Find a quiet moment to engage in dialogue, either through writing or inner reflection, with the persona that has served you for so long. Key 2. Begin to map your shadow. Bravely ask yourself the questions you have long avoided, writing down the answers without judgment. In order to maintain my image of success, which parts of my authentic nature have I sacrificed? What qualities in others do I most despise or judge? What truth might this burnout be protecting me from having to face? This process may be uncomfortable, but it is the non-negotiable work of reclaiming your exiled energy and becoming whole. Key 3. Learn to listen for the whisper of the self. In the past, your questions were, what should I do? How can I be more efficient? What one small thing today would bring me a flicker of genuine, simple joy, no matter how unproductive it seems? What is my body telling me? If I were to disregard everyone's expectations, What does the quiet voice deep within me truly long for? The guidance of the self rarely comes as a thunderous command. Key 4. Redefine productivity as integration. Our culture equates productivity with external output. Conclusion: you are not lost, you are returning. Seeker, the ground upon which you now stand is not the end of the line, but the true point of origin. To move from a life driven by the persona to one guided by the self is the road less traveled. If this message has resonated in some quiet corner of your being, helping you to name the profound shift you are navigating, please leave your mark in the comments and share your story. And subscribe to Psyche Unlocked, because unlocking your own psyche is where the great journey of your life truly begins.